everybody. Welcome to tonight's training. I'm Jen Liddy, and as you come in, feel free to pop your questions in the chat box as they come up. I have a lot to share with you tonight. Make sure you have a pen and paper nearby. Remember that you will get a copy of this. You'll get a PDF version. You'll get the, this is the live training, obviously I'm here live. And then there's also a recording. And so you'll have the access to go back and review it again. I will definitely be checking the questions at the end, and I can answer anything that you have questions about. So as people kind of come in, go ahead and mute yourself. And let's get started since it's 5:01 and I want to respect your time. So welcome to the WISE Small Business Resilience Planning course. This is a 7-module course, and today we're talking about module 4. My name is Jen Liddy. I'm your teacher for tonight, and I've been the teacher for the English version all the way through. We also have this exact same training translated into Spanish, and so if you know somebody who could use that, make sure that you share with them the information so that they can sign up and experience this too. Glad you're here tonight. Thanks for spending your evening with me. We have crafted this program at WISE at no cost to you because WISE is really committed to helping small business owners prepare for and respond to the economic impacts of a pandemic like COVID-19 that we're in right now. So throughout this, these 7 modules, you're going to learn quite a bit. We've talked about everything from remote employees to pivoting to safety. We're going to talk about finances, cyber threats. We'll also discuss the effects that reduced travel have had on our WISE women who come to our center. You will see me tonight looking at my notes. I normally like to just talk extemporaneously, but I can't because there's so much information. I want to make sure that you get everything. I'm also leaving my face up here. I'll put it actually down here so that it's not in the way too much, so that you have someone to look at because there's a lot on the slides, but it's also, we have found it to be helpful that you have an actual person with you along the way. So this course is designed to help you navigate the unexpected challenges that we've all been experiencing regarding COVID-19. And in our businesses and our workplaces, we're striving to keep our businesses running. And we know that this has not only affected you as a business owner, it's also affected the people who work with you and for you and your customers and clients. So we want to help you be prepared and flexible. And tonight we're going to talk about how to do that in this ever-changing situation. As I said, this is module 4, and module 4 is all about uncovering the important aspects to consider as you work to mitigate the economic impacts that COVID-19 may have had on your business or will have on your business in the future. You're going to learn lessons from upstate women business owners, so we've got some firsthand information for you, and then we're going to share some best practices. Today, we're also going to talk about how your BAIL team, your BAIL IT team actually, and I'm going to explain what that is, can help you become partners in your business to help you mitigate the impact and create more success for you. Again, at any time, if you have questions, please put them in the chat box. So we always like to get started with an inspirational quote. And what we want you to remember is that even if you are a solo entrepreneur, no one really does this alone. No successful business owner has ever done this alone. We all have a team. And if you don't have your BAIL team in place, you may be feeling right now isolated, confused, overwhelmed, or wary of what's next for you. And so that's why we're kicking today off with this quote from Tishara Jones of Ladies Who Launch. And she says, get your BAIL team together, your banker, accountant, insurance agent, and lawyer. Talk to them and see what the your current picture is and what steps you need to take next. And tonight we're going to go into deeply how these people can become your partners in your business to help you stay moving forward. As you can see tonight, we're talking about 7 objectives, and we're going to cover them with some examples. We're going to tell a little bit of story and give you some help and resources to get your own bail team in place if you don't have one already. We're going to start with, as I mentioned before, lessons. Everything okay?
It's not like I'm some impressionable baby. It's that they want to
Can you mute yourselves? Perfect, thank you. We're going to start tonight by talking about some lessons learned from women upstate business owners that we talked to. We always start with these because we got a lot of really great firsthand information from local women who are just like you, business owners who want to know how to move through this. We're going to talk about how to manage through uncertainty, how to make your business legally compliant during this time especially, it's important. Number 4 is to develop a business continuity plan, and then to conduct an impact vulnerability analysis. I'll explain what all of this means as we get through it. How to review business insurance guidelines and why that's important. And finally, how to pivot and build resilience for yourself and for your business. So let's jump in. So I want to introduce you to these people. I want you to understand it's only natural that there are some aspects of our business that we cannot possibly be experts in. That's why really successful entrepreneurs have excellent, high quality professionals to support us in their area of expertise. Now, you may have heard of a bail team before. You may not have understood how important it is to have on your side. So that's what we're going to break down today. The B in your bail team usually stands for banker, the person who helps you get capital and funding when you need it. For the purposes of this module, we are using the B to talk about a business counselor. We want to make a note that your banker is vital for your success. And this is just a side note here. We encourage you to create a relationship with the banker because the many women that we've talked to, especially during this COVID-19 pandemic, they have told us that the reason that many of them got money faster than their colleagues or their friends did is because they had a relationship with a banker. So we want to make sure you understand that we're not diminishing the importance of a banker. For the purposes of this training, we're just going to be talking about a business counselor instead. So let's talk. We're going to talk. So B is for business counselor for our purposes tonight. A is for accountant, and no matter where you are on your journey of business growth, we all need an extra set of eyes looking at our finances. We need somebody who's an expert and can see things objectively without emotion. And sometimes when I teach about getting an accountant, I'll have women say to me, why do I need an accountant? I'm not making any money. But I promise you, money is flowing out of your business and flowing into your business, and we need to make sure there's somebody looking at it that's not you. And who can give you support and professional advice. The I in your bail team is for insurance broker. And today we're going to go in more deeply, not only what these people do, but how they help your business thrive, not just survive, but thrive. So your insurance broker is the person who can help you reduce your risk and be covered for when disaster strikes, which is obviously clear that we never know when that's going to happen, right? The L is for lawyer, and I always counsel people to please get a great business lawyer. Get somebody who knows what they're doing, not your, not your dad's best friend's lawyer, like somebody who is really perfect for you. Somebody who can see, a really great business lawyer can see 20 steps ahead of where you are right now. And they can predict all the pitfalls. So yes, they help you with contracts, they help you with entity formation, but they also will help you think about problems you cannot possibly, would even imagine happening in your business. So these 4 individuals, whoever they might be in your real life, today we're going to talk about these 4 right here. They should become your best business partners from a way of building a relationship with them so they have your back from the time that you conceive of your idea as you scale and grow your business. So let's get started talking specifically about where we're headed in the first objective. The first thing we want to talk about is that as New York State was reopening in June 2020, Y spent a lot of time and effort gathering local women business owners and talking to them. They also spent time talking to partners in entrepreneurship. And so we learned a lot about what people in our region are struggling with and what they need. So we wanted to share with you some of the things that we heard from the people we spoke to. Over and over again, we heard that it was so important for local entrepreneurs to get to know the local resources available. And there's so much available here in Syracuse. I always think it's really amazing. Obviously, WISE is one of our business partners that we can use free of cost to you. But there's other ones too. And we've talked about them in other modules, including the SBDC, the Small Business Development Center, and SCORE, which is another local resource for you. So we've learned that people used not only the relationships with their bail teams, but also the relationships that they are forging with local resources to move forward, create a new normal for their business, stay agile, pivot, and get creative. And they really needed, sometimes they really needed somebody outside of their own brain to help them do that. I'm curious here if anything resonates with you, and if so, you're welcome to put that in the chat. What have you, what lessons have you learned in this time? You can also put that. And the other thing I'm curious about is who helped you? Was there a relationship that you had during this time that really helped you stay agile, pivot, get creative, and keep moving forward? You could put that into the chat box if you would like. I'll talk about those later. Let's keep moving because I want to introduce to you the B in our bail team. This is Doris. A great business counselor, and that's what Doris is, can help you stay focused and taking action during a time like this. Now, you may have felt like many people have felt like you're just spinning out of control, you're paralyzed, you don't know what to do next. But when you have a really strong business counselor next to you, they can help you think creatively about what to do. So Doris helps her clients think creatively about how to pivot their businesses, and she's able to share tips to help prepare today's business for future disruption. She also helps her clients assess the impact on cash flow vulnerability. She gets her clients thinking about things that they maybe haven't thought about before. Do you have a business counselor on your team? Now, there's plenty of business counselors and coaches that you can have far and wide, but locally there are many free to you resources. And if you search them out using one of the SBA's, the Small Business Administration's local resources, reach out. WISE actually has 3 business counselors available to you. I'll introduce you to them at the end tonight. You can also, like I said before, the SBDC, which is located at Onondaga Community College, but they can access you via telephone or Zoom. And of course, SCORE, which is another resource for you made up of retired entrepreneurs and professionals. So do you have somebody helping you? I want you to think about how maybe a business counselor is, maybe it's time for a business counselor because maybe you've like extinguished all the ideas in your head and you really could use a third neutral party to look at your business. Our next objective here, actually, let me stop here and see what's going on in the, if it will let me look at the chat. I'm curious. Here we go. Let's see what you guys are saying about, yes, SBDC, pivot my, oh yes, Manal's here and she had to pivot her customer segment. She moved to, it was nonprofit, right, Manal? So we had to get creative and there's plenty of people. And I love that we are getting the actual links from WISE tonight. Thank you so much. So you guys can check out the other options for getting a business counselor for you. Okay, so let's talk about objective 2. Where am I? Oh, here we go, sorry. So the world has obviously changed a lot since COVID-19 came into our lives. It has forced the closures of many small businesses, and social distancing has also become a term that we reference daily that we never even knew before. So things have changed. It can be nerve-wracking, but there is hope for your business to power through. So let's talk about all the ways that you can manage through uncertainty and how businesses just like yours are adapting. And with a little creativity, you might even be able to open up a new revenue stream that you had never thought about before that can stay with your business and prove its value long after the COVID-19 drama is over. So next up, we are talking about some tough questions that this business counselor asks her clients. So let's start. And these are questions that you might want to take a screenshot of this just so that you can start asking yourself these questions. The first question is, do you have a clear vision of your direction? Do you know where your business is going right now? Do you know that with clarity? It's very hard for us to know this because we love our businesses. We're emotional about our businesses. And so sometimes having a third person to look at it objectively makes all the difference in the world. Having someone else help us can move us from feeling overwhelmed and paralyzed to ready to take action. So having a business counselor or seeking out a business counselor can help you review your long-term strategy for continuity. We're going to talk about how to do that much later, but this is the first thing that Doris does for her business counseling clients. Have you done this for yourself? The second question is, are you reviewing your long-term strategy in the light of long-term market conditions and competitor reaction? And if you have not yet considered how your competitors are reacting or might react, now is a great time to start doing that. Why? Because maybe our competitors have thought of something that we haven't thought yet. Doris's job is to help us envision our business for the future, and she can ask questions like, where are you going to put your time? Where are you going to put your energy? Where are you going to put your money? And a smart start is to review the core values for your business and to respond to the changes around you, and perhaps looking at what your competitors are doing can help you or spark something in your own brain. The third question that Doris asks her clients is, are you soliciting ideas and input from a team across business areas to drive a holistic approach to where you need to go? And the reason that this is important is that a crisis like COVID-19 impacts every part of your business, right? And so we have to respond cross-functionally. Have you engaged your team leaders? I know that as the owner or the head of your business, you might feel like everything is on your shoulders right now, but it's really important to harness all of the team leaders to help you address the specific actions to get through this crisis in all the different ways. Doris helps her clients think clearly and focus on creating a response team. And if you haven't done that yet, that might be something it's time for you to do. The fourth question that Doris asks her clients is, are you taking care of your people and working environment to keep them safe? The reason that she asks this is that she knows it's vital that we keep the safety of our employees and the well-being of our people a priority. Have you ensured the health and safety in the working environment and the mental state too for your employees and your visitors? A business counselor can help you think clearly about this when maybe you're not even asking questions. Like, she might be removed enough from your business to ask a question like, do you have enough masks for everyone? And maybe you hadn't even been clear enough to be able to come up with that question. Do you have enough data to make an informed decision? The last question that Doris starts with is, do you know that cash is king? And what she means by that is she counsels her clients to think about cash flow and how that might be compromised right now. And it's very normal that it's compromised right now. So you have to think about your supply chain strategy. Does that need to change? Is it being impacted by suspensions or shutdowns or furloughs? And alternatively, your clients might need to renegotiate their prices or their own contracts because of the impact on their business. So the reason that we're diving so deeply into this and asking you all of these great questions is it's so hard for us to see on our own our business objectively. You love your business. We know that you do. And so having a business counselor on your bail team can help you alleviate some of the pressure for you. Feel free to take a picture of this screenshot, and we're going to move on to the next piece, which is how to manage through uncertainty with one big lesson that we have learned over and over and over again by talking to people. The number one thing that entrepreneurs keep telling us is that we must adapt and create an early warning system so that if and when this happens again, we are ready. Many entrepreneurs were caught unawares and absolutely not ready. And so we want to make sure that doesn't happen again. Creating an adaptive work environment requires 5 steps so that a company can change. And as we go through each step tonight, and I will only briefly cover these, and if you want them in more detail, then the PDF is available to you. And that you can see down at the bottom there, there's a link for you, and that will take you into the sources where we got this information. So as we go through each step, I want you to consider your company culture. Are you willing to adapt and change, especially during a crisis? For those leaders who aren't, their people are going to have a harder time changing. So we ask that you as an entrepreneur consider how you can adopt a growth mindset at this point. So the first thing that you have to do is recognize the value of adaptability. If you're saying, relax, everything's fine, this is no big deal, then your team and your staff and your people are going to have the same opinion. But we need you to be the person leading where we're headed. And that will help you thrive if you are more flexible and adaptable to do that. The second thing you need to do as the leader is identify potential disruptors. So with your team's input, you can create a watch list of potentially disruptive changes. Again, you don't have to do this alone. And we heard about it in the last slide, thinking about your supply chain, thinking about your people, and having somebody from the outside ask you these great questions. Third is to create an early warning system. And you want to really be aware of this. How will you know that it's time to adapt or change? Are sales falling off? Are things not coming in the way they used to be? Is your marketing not working anymore? Are people canceling their contracts? Are you noticing that your competitors are adopting a new technology that you haven't yet adopted? So you have to kind of keep your antenna up so that you can know when it's time to adapt to a change. And do you have those things in action? And what are you going to do to get ready? Number 4, to help you prepare for future disruption, is that breaking down the process into a framework is vital. So standard operating procedures, frameworks, whatever you want to call it, you have to be able to break it down so that people can understand it, so that you can communicate it, and so that people can put it into play. And then the last thing, and I think this is the hardest thing for human beings, is to start small. That's hard for entrepreneurs because we're big thinkers. And to tolerate failure, nobody likes that, and to learn from it. And so when you are thinking about how am I going to prepare in the future for what might happen, you have to be willing to see things as an experiment. I'm going to try this, assess, reassess, try it, assess, reassess. So understand that this is a necessary thing for entrepreneurs to do to maintain an agile future and mitigate the economic impacts on you. Okay. There are 10 things to consider as you manage through uncertainty. I'm going to go over these at a very high level, but this might be a great slide to take a picture of. So you're going to have a crisis management plan, right? We're talking about preparing for the future. You need a plan to prepare for the future. And so there are 10 things here. Everything from identifying your people. Let's not forget about the people who can help us. We don't have to do this alone anymore. To documenting everything, putting monitoring systems in place, figuring out who's going to be the spokesperson for this, having a list of emergency contacts, thinking about who needs to be notified, how to gather your people, and then a process to assess the incident, all the way down to communicating via social media or email or any of the ways that your company communicates, and then providing a process to test the effectiveness of your plan on a regular basis. We can't make it clear enough to you how important it is to test and experiment and test and test. So you might want to take a screenshot of that screen. I'll leave that up there for a moment while I grab a sip of water. So just to wrap up this section, obviously there's a lot to think about in planning for the future so that you can remain agile and mitigate the negative effects. And sometimes we just can't do that alone. A business counselor might be the person that you need to get on your bail team right now. So if that's something that you really want, I want you to write down in your notebook, seek out a business counselor. You're putting that on your to-do list, right? Let's keep going. into objective 3, which is all about how to stay legally compliant. And here we're jumping from the B to the L on our bail team, because it's vital that we have support from everybody on our bail team, but our lawyer can help us stay legally compliant even during challenging times and crisis situations. How can you ensure that you remain legally compliant? Let's find out. So I want you to meet the lawyer that we're talking today. This is Yasmin, and she is a small business lawyer. That's what she does. She's an expert in all things lawyerly. She's an expert in thinking ahead, and she knows what small businesses need, and she knows what small business owners need to consider and predict, especially in times of crisis. So she tells all of her clients that crisis management is reactive, that pivoting is reactive. And actually what she wants for her clients and what your lawyer will want for you is to be proactive. She would like her clients to respond versus react. She wants them to be ready instead of just like pouncing and reacting. She wants them to be able to take it in, know they have a plan, and respond in a cool, calm way without panicking. She helps her clients remain in good standing with the following actions. And I'm going to go over the kinds of things that your lawyer can help you with that maybe you haven't even considered yet. So first, for your own records, do you know what the internal requirements are? Now, there is a lot of information here, and that's why I'm going to recommend that you go to that link at the bottom. It's an sba.gov link, so it's a primary resource for you, and it tells you all the little teeny tiny things you need to know about staying legally compliant. For example, if you're a corporation, there are very strict requirements and guidelines that you have to attend to. And are you doing that? Do you know what they are? That's why this document is here linked for you. And if you are not an if you are a corporation, if you're an LLC, if you're doing business app, everybody has different requirements. So please check this out. But if you don't have the time and energy for that, that's what a lawyer would do. So Yasmin directs her clients to document their important decisions in their business in case anything happens, and she wants to prepare them up front. The second thing that she has her clients do to remain legally compliant is to file the ongoing state requirements. And there's lots of these, again, like so much information. There's annual statements, there's franchise taxes, there's initial reports, there's articles of amendment. And if all of this sounds like I'm speaking another language to you, then that's why you get a lawyer on your team, because this is what they do all day long. They live and they breathe this stuff, and it's like breathing to them, right? Next, she shares with her people that they should be doing ongoing federal filing. What are those requirements? Well, if you don't know that off the top of your head, your lawyer should and can either take care of it for you and guide you to do it. And lastly, Yasmin has her clients maintain their licenses, permits, and certifications and recertifications, because that's the kind of stuff that falls out of our head as entrepreneurs. And that's why we need someone on our team to make sure that this stuff actually gets taken care of. I'm going to remind you that all the links are here, and they will be in the PDF file that you can get and access on Blackboard. And it's an SBA site, so all of this means is it's from the horse's mouth, right from the government. Let's talk about the rhino. So our next objective is objective 4, and we're going to talk about developing a business continuity plan. You know what, before that, I have a question for you guys. If you're here and you are with me live, do you have a lawyer? Have you worked with a lawyer? How has a lawyer helped you? Has a business lawyer ever helped you see 3, 4, 5, 15 steps ahead? I'd love to hear from you guys so we can address it later. Do you have any questions about using a business lawyer, etc.? So if you have any questions about the L in bail team, go ahead and put those in the chat. So are you curious about the rhino? Why is the rhino here? I want to talk about the rhino in a metaphorical way. The COVID-19 pandemic showed the incredible unpreparedness on the part of many small businesses to handle the disruptions of business operations. Like, think about how distracted we all are with life. and that we're doing so many things, and we have so many things in our mind, and we're taking care of so much, and we're thinking about growing, and then in comes COVID-19. And if this was you, please know that you are not alone. Pandemic risks like we're experiencing have been described as the gray rhinos in the jungle. They are highly likely, but a completely ignored threat until it's too late. So imagine yourself, let's talk about how we got to this place with COVID-19. So imagine that you're in the jungle and you're outside and it's beautiful and there are plants you've never seen and there are exotic trees and there are some exotic little animals that you're noticing and you're enjoying being there, and you're distracted by all of the things happening around you and you're oblivious to this huge gray beast that lives there. That's the gray rhino in the jungle. This ferocious beast comes out hard at you and you're not prepared for it. That's how we small business owners felt when COVID-19 hit. And now that we're highly aware of the threat and the risk, we need to focus our businesses on continuity so that we can continue to not only survive, but thrive. Let's explore how to create business continuity. And this is a process by which your business responds to and recovers from business operations. Like we want to restore business operations at the onset of a crisis until our new normal gets put into place. Now, this is a very short video, and I can't play it here, but this is a short video about what a business continuity plan is. I mean, it's like 2 minutes long, and I highly recommend that you watch it because it's like, what is a business continuity plan? What's included in one? And I'm going to get started talking about why you need one and how to make that happen. So let's keep going. And again, this is Yasmin, our lawyer, and she is telling her clients that it's a good time right now to revisit our business plan and create a business continuity plan to make sure that we're ready to stay agile, perhaps pivot. Pivoting isn't always the answer, and remain flexible enough to keep moving forward in your business. So if this is something that you want support with, seek out a wise counselor who can help you create a business continuity plan. This is a really important aspect of your business that you may not have even known exists. If you want to do this on your own, the resource ready.gov is the official website from the Department of Homeland Security, and they provide 4 steps to business continuity planning. You'll get detailed explanations about the components and a template if you click on any of these 4 options here. But if you're ready to get started on your own, there are 4 steps to help you create a business continuity plan for yourself. The first is to conduct a business impact analysis. If you don't know what that is, you click right there. It tells you what it is. It shows you what to do. And it's a way to identify time-sensitive or critical business functions and processes and any resources that support those. So that's the very first thing that you need to do. The second thing that you need to do is to identify, document, and implement a way to recover critical business functions and processes if they have been disrupted. The third thing is to organize a business continuity team and compile a BCP, a business continuity plan, to manage business disruption. And then 4 is to conduct training for your BCP team and, your business continuity team. And then again, test and evaluate and assess and test and evaluate. You can see that there is a lot of experimentation here, that nothing is a perfect science. I think if more entrepreneurs could just really embrace the idea that it's implement, test, assess, implement, test, assess, that we would all be a lot better off in our agility and flexibility. So again, you might want to take a picture of this, and the source is again here at the bottom, ready.gov. I'm going to check in with the chat to see if there's anything. Yes, you don't have to do this alone. I love that we have one of our counselors here tonight, and we also have the WISE Center giving us links in the chat. So please make sure to use that chat. Nimble is a good word. I love that word. I've been using agility, flexibility, but nimble is another great word. So there is much more information in the business continuity plan if you have more complex and larger businesses. But again, I'm going to have you take a photo of this slide because this is the steps that you walk through. And I talked about it in the previous slide, but I just want to like show you what's underneath each step. Everything like what's the business impact analysis? It tells you right here what to do and what those steps are. What are the recovery strategies? Again, this source gives you the outline of what to do. Everything from starting with identifying and documenting all the way going through implementing. And then develop your plan. What's the framework all the way through navigate, validate, and then gain management approval. Remember, you have a team. And then number 4 is to test and test the exercise the testing. So you want to develop the testing, the exercises, and maintenance required all the way through updating the plan when you figured out what works. And so again, you might be saying, I don't have time for this. I'm exhausted. I don't know how to do this. We know. And that's why the WISE counselors are here for you. That's why the SBDC is available to you. That's why SCORE can help too. There's a lot of options out there. You don't have to do this alone. That's why having a bail team is so important. I always say you pay for things with your time, your energy, or your money. And sometimes you run out of time and you run out of energy and it's time to put some money towards something, but you don't even have to because we have so many resources available to you that don't cost anything. Let's continue to talk about the BCP here. The SBA recommends focusing on disasters that pose a realistic risk to your small business. So there's a resource here if a hurricane is a realistic risk for you, if winter weather is a realistic risk for you. So these are all the kinds of safety tips that we want you to look for if any of these are potential realistic risks for your business while you are creating your BCP. Although I don't think anybody thought that a worldwide pandemic was a realistic risk. Let's go on to objective 5. How do you know if the pandemic has impacted your cash flow and if you can sustain this crisis financially? What do you do? Let's talk about that. We're going to go back to the WISE women that we interviewed in June 2020. And they taught us so many lessons. They also taught us like what we should be focusing on in these trainings because this is what real people are dealing with. So you can see that much of the conversation surrounded concerns about cash flow, income, financial stability, debt relief, and which of these resonates most with you. Throughout this section of Objective 5, we'll talk about how cash flow is affecting businesses across the world and what you can do right now with the help of an accountant as part of your bail team. And with a little information and a little guidance, you can get yourself started here. So let's take a look at this slide. The lessons learned from WISE women included everything to how do I create a pay structure for something that I used to do in person that now I do online, like a virtual class, a virtual course. Yoga classes were a great example that we saw a lot. We also heard about taking advantage of a 30-year loan with low interest for or not-for-profit emergency funding grants. We heard a lot about the different kinds of loans available. And if you go back to module 3, there's a whole training for you there on loans, capital, getting funding, etc. And how to become keenly aware of being operationally and financially efficient at all times. And this leads us right into talking about how our accountant can help us think about things we may not have thought about before. So we want to tell you about some research that we did here. Deloitte is a leading consulting firm, and they issued a report in the wake of the pandemic hitting China. They did an article on COVID-19 and reported that managing supply chain risk and disruption should not be underestimated. It was a very big deal for industries across the world, and it impacted industries, as you've seen, I'm sure, sectors like tourism, the airlines, hospitality, consumer goods and retail were, you may notice that they were affected. Remember the great toilet paper problem that like there were run on toilet paper. they were at a higher than normal financial risk also, so consumer goods and retail. Seasonal businesses were very affected by this, and demand was lost or shifted sometimes. And perishable consumer goods and seasonal apparel was also affected. But even commodity-oriented industries like metals and mining, gas and oil have been affected, which you've probably seen in gas prices, especially at the beginning, as they were exposed to the global demand shifts and pricing fluctuations. So we want you to understand this is a global crisis that we are in right now. And so how can your bail team help you manage through your own crisis in your business? Well, meet Kevin, the accountant. He's interested in talking all about cash flow. This is what he does all day long, and he loves it. He wants to help you assess how vulnerable your cash flow situation is to the impact of COVID-19. So let's dive into some serious business planning here and look at what the big consulting firms are advising businesses to do. Again, feel free to take a screenshot of this at any time, and you'll see again at the bottom is the link here to the Deloitte vulnerability analysis. And we want you to go deep. And again, if you want to do this on your own, there is a link for you, but we highly recommend that you get an accountant to help you, because COVID-19 directly affects your business continuity and your business operations. And so supply chains might dry up, demand might plunge. And so it's vital that businesses like yours are proactive in assessing the risk and assessing the vulnerability from an operational and a financial standpoint. That's why Kevin is here. It's your job as the business owner or the leader to act decisively and focus on how your cash flow is being impacted. Have you looked at that? Finances are a scary thing to look at, even though we all know cognitively that money is just money, right? It's just numbers on a page. It's just facts. We often put so much emotion around it, and this can be something that really stresses us out or jams us up. And so the first step is for your company to get an accurate overview of your liquidity situation. Okay. This is again a place where your team is here to serve you. And if you want to get started assessing this for yourself, like I said, there are guidelines here from Deloitte. There's a link under here, but you're going to want to focus on 3 things. If the crisis impact is high and your cash flow is low, you need to turn around and optimize your working capital. This would be a great time for financing or for government aid. If your crisis impact is high and you have high cash flow, then this is where you reposition yourself, or you reduce the costs, or you reforecast your cash flow. So you might want to consider new growth opportunities if this is you. And the third crisis impact to think about is if your crisis impact is low and you have a high cash flow, it's time to strengthen your position by assessing third-party and supplier risk. Like, is there anything coming your way that you have not thought of yet? This is a lot of stuff to consider, and you can see why having an accountant on your team is vital. You have to have somebody that you can trust. So interview accountants and see who jives with you, because this is their expertise. Let's keep going. So Kevin emphasizes the precautionary best practices. He suggests that you maintain your financial statements and that you always have your income statements, your cash flows, and your P&L, that's your profit and loss, up to date. During critical times like this, you want to watch your spending, you want to set aside reserves and identify ways to maximize your cash flow and minimize cost. What does that mean for your business? What does maximizing cash flow and minimizing cost mean for you? What do you need to shift in your business? So like Yasmin, Kevin emphasizes making sure you have a business continuity plan as well. Moving on to our next objective. Here we're talking about reviewing business insurance and the importance and how it can help mitigate the economic impact of your business. It's time to raise our awareness about business insurance as part of a business continuity strategy to help you mitigate the impacts. And let's talk about what that looks like. So throughout this training, we've discussed how a great business counselor, a great lawyer, and a great accountant can help give us knowledge, their expertise, and advice to maintain our business resilience planning. Now we want to introduce to you Sue Young. She is an insurance broker who can help us understand the importance of business insurance. As we always do, we go back to our wise women interviews because they shared with us the lessons that we wanted to think about in regards to specifically insurance. And they discussed everything from the mental resilience of work-life balance and how hard it is right now with everybody home with us. But business insurance was another thing that they felt they don't have a good handle on right now. The women we talked to were concerned about insurance, especially in regard to their specific local businesses right now. Can business insurance help them thrive? That was the question that they wanted to know. And in fact, we learned that not everyone does carry insurance, and not everyone even knows about insurance, business insurance specifically, and how it can help you. And so I'm curious, do you have business insurance? Do you have an opinion about it? Have you ever sought it out, or do you have somebody that you can talk to about it? And if you do have business insurance, do you know in detail what it covers for you and your business? Let's talk about that. Turns out only 33% of small businesses have business interruption insurance. And so it's really important, if you do have it, to understand how it can help you, and if you don't have it, why you might want to access it. So one of the reasons to have insurance is to mitigate business interruption, and this type of policy can help you remain in business even during a crisis, disaster, or a pandemic. It's your broker's job to explain your coverage results. And if you don't feel like that is happening, then maybe you don't have the right broker for you. The issuer of your policy or its agent should be able to do the same for you. Coverage varies from policy to policy, and so it's vital to read your particular policy and consult your person if you have questions and get answers to your questions. Again, we have a resource down here. This is from the New York State Department of Financial Services. So that's another great primary source for you. Let's talk about some of the questions that come up. The point of insurance is to keep you covered, but it doesn't mean you will never have questions. It's your insurer's job, as I said before, to answer your questions. Here are several questions that may help you. The first one is, does the governor's declaration of a state of emergency affect my business interruption insurance policy? And the answer is no, it does not change the terms of your business interruption policy, but it does indicate the serious attention that the governor has directed to all state agencies about COVID-19. So as a result, the Department of Financial Services is focused on making sure consumers have the greatest amount of knowledge about their business interruption insurance. Another question is, if I don't have an existing business insurance policy that covers COVID-19, can I buy one? The thing is, insurers typically do not write coverage for known events for which the extent of the potential damage is not easily understood, and that pretty much is COVID-19, right? However, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't talk to somebody about it, and that's why you have an insurance person on your bail team to ask that very question. Question 3 is, how does my business interruption insurance policy treat the coronavirus? And it's unlikely that coronavirus is actually addressed in your business interruption policy because nobody even knew that it was coming. So check to see if your policy has an exclusion that disables coverage for incidents triggered by an epidemic or a pandemic. And then I have a policy that is called the Contingent Business Interruption Insurance Policy. How is that different from a regular business interruption insurance policy? And these are just great questions of somebody who's thinking critically about what's going on. And so I already explained that the business interruption coverage requires it must be related to property damage, which I thought was an interesting little piece of information there. So one example of this could be that a fire in a building on your street has closed the street off to traffic and prevented your employees from coming to the office. That's the kind of thing that you might be needing to consider. So ask your insurer all of these questions because you can see how in-depth and complex they are. Again, there's another resource for you here at the bottom of this page. So what are the steps to buying business insurance? Well, here's some advice from the Small Business Administration. They have a whole guide on business insurance types and the steps to buying it for yourself. The first thing you want to do is assess your risks. What kinds of accidents or natural disasters or lawsuits could damage your business? And think about the effect and the impact that COVID-19 has had on your business. Has it been affected at all? So you want to start thinking about this for what's next for you, because maybe it's time to get some insurance or up your insurance. 2 is to find a reputable licensed agent. Again, interview people, talk to them. Commercial insurance licensed agents can help you find policies that match with your business needs. We at WISE suggest that you do interview as many people that feel right to you until you find somebody that works, or ask your trusted colleagues. Don't go with the first person that you meet. 3, the SBA suggests that you shop around. Basically, like what I'm saying, interview, ask, compare, and prices and benefits can vary significantly. So you really have to do your homework to compare rates, terms, and benefits. And then 4, the last thing is to reassess every year. Insurance is one of those things that we pay and maybe we don't pay a lot of attention to, right? And so as your business grows, so do your liabilities. And if you purchased or replaced equipment or expanded your operations, you should contact your insurance agent and see what changes need to happen in your policy. Remember that your bail team serves at your bail team only serves you because you hire them. They're your people, right? So make sure that you're always reassessing how they're benefiting you and updating the team as needed. So there's different types of business insurance. You want to discuss with your insurance broker what type makes the most sense for you and your business. And again, make sure to compare. So I would take a picture of this screen because there are several different types of business insurance that are mandated by law to protect yourself. And in general, the following types of business insurance are required for all employees. But again, this is a question to ask your insurance agent. So go ahead and take a picture of that. And again, if you have an insurance person that you love working with, or whether you are or are not working with insurance, if you have any questions about that, go ahead and put that in the chat. Let's move on to objective 7, which is all about pivoting and building resilience in your business. This module is our concluding, this objective is our concluding objective. And this is all about sustaining and thriving even though you are in the midst of perhaps what feels like an emotionally exhausting, mentally exhausting situation. How can we thrive and not just survive? And so it's all about mitigating our financial liability and getting support so that we don't feel so alone. Your goal is to build resilience, and your bail team is here to help you do that. So the last few slides of this module will help you review how to think about pivoting or remaining agile and nimble, flexible, while thinking about creative ways to grow and continue your business. This is a kind of like a webinar. It's a short video about how to think about business preparedness and resiliency. We recommend that you watch it. It's not that long. I'm wondering, oh, it's 4.5 minutes. And it's brought to you by the Regional Catastrophic Planning of New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, and Pennsylvania. So it's very regionally focused. And it might help you with some ideas about being agile, about pivoting, about being more flexible, and maybe help you gain a little bit of clarity in that area. So let's go a little bit more in depth. I have this as our last content slide, but definitely not the least. Now that you've thought about all the people who can help you move forward, and thinking about once those details are removed from you because you've got a plan in place and maybe you have some more energy and creativity to think about how to be agile, and you're not reacting out of panic, but you're planning ahead, let's talk about how your business just might pivot. The first thing is to focus on the new need that has arisen. Think about how to solve your customer problems while they're isolated at home. For example, there's a Dallas-based toy shop called Toy Maven that back in April put Easter baskets together filled with engaging goodies for kids, and then they delivered it right to the people's doorsteps. It was ready for home delivery. It was like the pre-made toy kit, and they were very successful there, and they're a brick and mortar based toy shop. So what are the needs that your people are having? And there's some examples here. We've seen, restaurants serving us curbside, for example, posters and banners to celebrate graduations and birthdays. How can you serve the people that are wanting what you have, but maybe can't obtain it right now? And this might be something that you talk about your business counselor, because somebody else outside of your brain might help you be a little more creative. You also might want to think about creating a service offering pivot, and many traditional businesses have pivoted to virtual tours, for example. This model can apply to any traditional retail experience. You could do a webinar, Facebook Live, Instagram stories. Any way that you can show what you have virtually is a way to give a service offering online now. For example, I had to buy a birthday gift, and I wanted it to be, it was a big special birthday for my mother, and she lives in South Carolina. I called up a local woman in South Carolina near where she lives, and this woman on her phone took me through her store and gave me a virtual tour of her store, and I spent about $150 in her store in a place it's a brick and mortar I never could have stepped into. So that was a really awesome service that she did for me. And then she delivered it to my mom's door, and I thought that was pretty amazing. The third thing that we want to talk about here is partnering with other people. How can you collaborate? How can you partner with your local partners like the Chamber of Commerce or a small business organization? Are they posting directories so that customers can access online purchases or gift cards, for example? You may not have thought yet to do this, but there are organizations out there that would love to know that you exist in your organization. You might even engage your team to pivot in their roles and help out in various other ways. Other companies have built their brand reputation by doing philanthropic activities during this time, like meal donations, or providing like 3D printed personal protective gear. And then the fourth thing to help you think about how to be more agile right now is to keep the cash flow going. And pay it forward models like buying gift cards now and using them later is definitely an option for you. You can sell them now and people can use them later. People can support you through this hard time by buying things up front and using them later. People are also doing this with yoga classes, gym memberships, etc. But you want to be transparent with your customers. We need your support. In fact, I've gotten some emails from local brick and mortars who aren't able to open, but they're so grateful for the people who have remained members during this time, still paying their membership if they can. You might be surprised at how well people respond when you just ask and tell them what you need. So again, take a screenshot of this slide. There might be something here that just sparks an idea in your brain, or reach out to the Wise Women Business Center and get connected with one of our business counselors. So we have covered the following topics. We've talked about the many lessons that the Wise Women have shared with us, the people in our focus groups. We talked about how to manage through uncertainty. And we also talked about how a business continuity plan is vital for us moving forward so that we never feel this way again. How to assess your cash flow vulnerability in relation to the impact, in terms of supply chain, etc. We talked about legal compliance, we talked about business insurance, and we talked about pivoting and building resilience in that way. We covered it quite a bit tonight. And so these were the 7 things that we talked about there. They are in a different format for you, but you can see how much we've covered in, woohoo, just an hour. So again, if you're looking for more resources, our instructional designer has done an amazing job in finding high quality resources for you so that you're not going on hearsay and that you're not just going on what you see on social media. You actually have a primary resource to go back to. And so these are available to you They just click on there and you can be taken to these wonderful resources. And last but not least, I want to introduce you to our WISE business counselors. We have Barb Stone, who I believe is on the call tonight. She's here on the left. And then Sarisa Richardson is in the middle. And then we have Lacey Roy Cicerillo on the end. These women have been trained specifically in this information to help you mitigate and the problems that COVID-19 has been causing for your business. So reach out. You can call WISE directly at 315-443-8634. You can also email them. They're super responsive at wisecenter@syr.edu. And you can go to their website, which is, oh my gosh, why can't I remember what it is? Where is it? I know that they'll put it in the chat for me. I want to say a word about WISE. WISE is one of 116 women's business centers in the entire United States, and we have one here in Syracuse. And we have it here because it's federally funded through the SBA and also a grant through Syracuse University. So we're very grateful that WISE is here, and they have touched many, many women, successful women, business owners in our community who are thriving now. And if you're just at the beginning point, or if you're at the point where you're growing and scaling, we can help you at WISE, and we want to get to know you. So please let us know who you are and how we can help you. And I want to say congratulations on finishing module 4 and staying all the way through with me. I really appreciate it. I know it's a lot of information. I'm glad you're here. And also I want to give a shout out to our instructional designer, Manal El Tighi, who is working tirelessly to put this stuff together so that we have really high quality trainings for you. So thank you so much. I'm going to stop the share right now. Here we go. Hi, everyone. It's so nice to see you all. So I'm going to take a look in the chat for a quick moment and see, are there any questions? There are no questions, but if you had a question and wanted to ask it live, I'm here for you. Hi, Manal. Hi, Megan.
Hi, Jen.
Does anybody have any questions? There was a lot of information given. Woo, yeah, so much information. Crystal, I see Crystal and Neha. I feel like I've met you guys before. Maybe on building blocks. Were you guys ever taking the building blocks training? Okay, so that's our training for tonight. And you can access this on Blackboard. It is recorded tonight. And then of course there will be a recording done that goes slide by slide. And then there is a PDF version. So there's a lot of information for you to access. And if you leave tonight and you're just like, something is sticking in my brain and I have an idea and I didn't get to ask it now, call WISE. Megan, what are your guys' hours over are you closed tomorrow for the holiday?
Thanks, Jen. So we are closed tomorrow for the holiday, but our hours, we're operating just like we were when the center doors were open, but for the fact that just like you, we are operating from home virtually. So somewhat standard business hours, but we, as Jen said, we try to be very responsive over email. And if you call our direct line, we are answering it. We're having that forwarded so we can get back to you just as quick as possible.
Wonderful. Thanks, Megan. Okay, well, thank you guys for joining me, and I appreciate your time and your attention. And if you have any, you know what, I'll put my email here because in case you want to ask me a question, you can just email me. I'm jen_liddy@me.com, but really WISE is the place to go. They can answer all of your questions. See you guys soon. I hope to see you in module 5, which is next Thursday night. No, next Thursday at noon in English, at 5 in Spanish. Yes. Thank you guys. Bye, everyone.